You know when your closing starts in sales? I'll tell you exactly when it starts. It starts right here. The instant you open up your mouth, you're closing the sale. Every word that you utter is about getting to this point of the line. There's nothing evil about selling or persuading or influencing if you're selling a quality product and if you've qualified the person out and it's what they need. But you gotta wipe the shit out of your head that there's anything wrong with influencing people. If that's how you feel, and I don't think there's really anyone in this room that feels it because you're salespeople, but sometimes I walk into a room and they're like, well, I'm not really a salesperson per se, I'm just like, identifying people's needs and trying to fill them elegantly. So here's what I ask you for. There's only two things. Number one is 60 days, and please write this down. This is important. For the next 60 days while you embrace this system, and I promise it will dramatically improve your production, I want you to stretch. And what that means is you work twice as hard. I've been in business about 50 times in my life. I've taken public about 120 companies, raised $1.5 billion for venture capital, and I'll tell you this, I failed about 40 times. Been bankrupt. Had business I built up, didn't work, right? So what happens in life is this. There are certain windows that you have when things are working. And when you have that, you got to work twice as hard. It's like a window to jump through of opportunity, right? That's the way it is. So what I want you to do is right now, when you're first learning the system, don't say, okay, well, it really works. I'm just going to kind of do what I always did. However many calls you're making, I want you to make twice as many calls. If you're dressing a certain way, dress that way every second of the day. Whatever your commitment is to your thoughts, what you're thinking about, where you're going in life, the goals you're setting, I want you to stretch them, not forever. Not forever, just for 2 months, 60 days. Because that's the kind of the amount of time that it takes for you really to take hold and internalize this stuff, okay? So that's number one, okay? Ethical guidelines, this is the second thing. And I said it again, and I said before, I'll say it again, okay? Number one, okay, do not pressure a client to do something they should not do. Write that down, please, and ensconce it indelibly in your mind. And in about 2 hours, you'll say, I know why he's saying that now. Because you're going to realize there are certain unconscious buying triggers and certain tonal patterns that make people buy things they shouldn't buy when used the wrong way. Do not use this for that. Okay? The straight line represents the perfect sale. That means everything went exactly right. You walked in the door, they loved you, or you're on the phone, they said, oh yeah, everything's great. And you asked them if they were interested. Yes, I'd love to hear. Great. You tell them what your product's about. Oh my God, it sounds wonderful. You say, listen, it costs X dollars. Great. How do I get started? How often does that happen? Right? Not too often. It's through practice. There's no other way. By drilling it into your head again and again and again and again and again until your brain just clicks and all of a sudden you're using the unconscious part of your mind, which is infinitely more powerful than your conscious mind. Your conscious mind is maybe 10%, your unconscious mind 90%. It's like 10 times more powerful. So it's a dramatic difference. You're going to get there through forced repetition, by practicing, by just going out and doing it. And one day, all of a sudden, click, you'll be unconsciously competent at it. It takes about 3 or 4 weeks of really, really trying to get unconsciously competent at something. So it doesn't happen overnight, but don't worry. Even when you're consciously competent, you'll still be doing great. That's why you'll get a quick bump of 30 to 50% right when you leave here in your sales. But about a month later, you'll double your sales if you're working. That's how powerful the system is. Here's something I want to touch on very, very briefly, okay? When you set goals in life, okay, your brain, you have the ability, and I'm going to show you how to do this tomorrow. You have the ability to use what's called your neuropsychology to make the goals much more powerful, okay, to make your goals bigger and brighter, to expand on them, okay? When I ask you to set goals, right, everybody, I want you to all raise your hand as high as you can. Everyone, raise your right hand as high as you can. As high as you can. Okay, now raise it a little bit higher. Okay. If I said raise it as high as your hand, and I said raise it, everyone raises it even higher, right? Right? I said the first time raise it as high as you can, but you didn't. right? Because there's a level above what's comfortable, slightly higher and easily doable, but you got to stretch a bit. That's where I want you to set your goals for selling with the straight line, slightly above what you think is great.